Welcome back to Local SEO Tactics. Jesse Dolan here with Bob Brennan. As we do most weeks, we've had a few interviews mixed in the last few episodes here, but here we are back again to talk with you to help you grow your business and get found online. And today we're going to be talking about, again, one of our favorite topics, Google My Business.
Yep.
And within that, we've talked in previous episodes about, picking your category, for your GMB, Google My Business, GMB, and how important that is. Otherwise, Google kind of doesn't. Well, they still know what you do. There's a lot of ways that they infer that, but they give you a very direct route to say, what does your business do? Your auto repair shop, coffee grinder, truck repair, dentist, whatever, with these categories. And that's an extremely important part of setting up your GMB to optimize it. And we had a previous episode, I'll put it in the show notes, on how to set up and optimize your GMB. That's kind of where we started this podcast, focusing on those things. And today we're going to talk about how to reverse engineer what your competition is doing.
Really important.
Very important, right? For what categories they're using. So before we kind of dive into the guts on that, there's some pretty cool hacks we're going to share here. So just a little teaser for everybody. You want to be aware of you want to be aware of who your competition is, period, right? I mean, that's kind of one of the mainstays of being in business and doing digital marketing. Your competitors aren't just some of the maybe industry people or the names and faces you're familiar with. If you've been in business for a while, you can probably rattle off who some of your main competitors are. That doesn't mean, when it comes to Google and search engines, like we've said before, that doesn't mean that's who your competition actually is. Competition's whoever's ranking in the map pack. You know what I mean? So first things first, identify your competition. Find out who they are, do some Google searches, go to Google Maps, or I should say there's two ways, and sometimes you might get some different results here. One is on your desktop. Whether you go to google.com and just do a natural Google search, you're going to get that map pack at the very top. You list in, at least 3 businesses, with the map and the pins on the map. Or you can go to google.com/maps and go right to the Google Maps search itself. Similar results, sometimes a little bit different on your desktop, but then the second part is actually doing this on your mobile. And usually people are going to find some overlap, but definitely some different results on mobile. So don't just lock into one of these. I kind of gave actually 3 different scenarios there on how to search. I would do that for a couple of your primary keywords or things you want to be found for, and find out who's showing up on that map pack above you, below you, and who are some of the constants. If there's just like one random company that pops up for one random term, let's say you searched 7 or 10 different keywords, don't worry so much about that one. If you have a couple businesses, I should say, that are showing up regularly, right, on top of you or underneath you, those are the people we're talking about. Who's dominating in the map pack? Who's your main competition? And that's what we're going to be trying to kind of hack today and see what they're doing. So, as we talked before, setting your categories is extremely important. And within that, you have kind of 2 levels of your categories. One is your primary category. So I think it's 7. I'll update it in the show notes. But Google gives you, somewhere around 7 total categories you can pick.
So you can't go nuts and put in 12 or 14.
There's a limit. There's definitely a limit.
So you want to think about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Actually, I should pull it up here and just give them the actual answer quick. So Google gives you up to 7 categories that you can pick for your business. And one of those you make your primary category. And we've talked before, we do feel you should rank these. There's nothing out there, and Google hasn't explicitly said, when you do these, it's your primary is your primary. But then these next 6 that you get, there's nothing that says there's a specific order to those. But we feel if you're going to put them on there, put them in order. I mean, why not? On the off chance that has any bearing for your impact, you're saying, what categories do I want to be found for? Put them in order. I mean, it's not going to take you a lot of time to do that, even if we're wrong. So you waste 15 seconds, prioritizing them. Not a big deal for the off chance that it definitely makes an impact. So, so you can pick up to 7 of these categories. What should you pick? You might sit there and think, I don't even know what categories they have. They change this stuff all the time. This is where the research of your competitors comes in handy. So first thing you're going to want to do, actually, let me reset. What we're going to do is we're going to pull up a competitive GMB, Google My Business listing, and we're going to look at the page source. The actual encoding on that GMB page. Okay. And we're going to show you how to get in there, and within all the page code, find where it says the categories that competitor is using for their GMB. And again, you're going to want to, if you got 2, 3, 5, whatever main competitors you're finding around town, check them all and see where they're overlapping, what they're commonly going after, and see how that matches up with you. You may find there's a category you weren't aware of that you want to be included for. So let me pull up the GMB here. I'm sorry, Google Maps, I should say, to get to a GMB. So for those of you watching on video, you can see we have on the screen in the background here, it's going to Google Maps. So google.com/maps. And I'm just going to do a search for auto repair Minneapolis. We're up in the great north here. So the first one, we'll just do the first one on top here. That's 4-star auto service. And so I guess just to kind of walk through this for everybody that's not watching the video. So you do the search. I'm in Google Maps. So I have 20 results on the left-hand side here. And then on the right-hand side, we see a map with little icons and pinpoints where these businesses are located. Further down in the bottom left, I can scroll through results 1 through 20. Then I can go through 21 through 40 if there's up to 40 of them, things like that. You can't do this hack we're talking about here in the google.com regular search. So even if you go to google.com, if you do a search and you're presented with that map pack at the top, this isn't going to work.
This only works in the maps.
This only works in Google Maps. Yep.
Okay.
Even if you do a regular search in google.com, you're seeing the map pack results, you click on one of the listings and you get to a page that looks similar to this, you're not going to get this. Okay. You have to explicitly go to Google Maps. So there's 2 ways you can get there. You can literally type it in google.com/maps and do your searching there. Or if you're going to go to google.com and follow on our example here of auto repair Minneapolis, do your Google search for auto repair Minneapolis. You're going to get those results, but then don't click on the results. You're going to see at the top, there's a toolbar for Google. You'll see a button that says maps.
Right.
Click the button that says maps. That'll then take you with that same search term over to the Google Maps area. Okay. So it's very important that you go to Google Maps to do this. Otherwise, this just isn't going to work. So now that's where we are. Just to kind of reset the stage, I'm going to click on the top result here for the example, 4-star auto service. And then it's going to take me to a similar screen. We're still going to see, all the results 1 through 20 onto the right-hand side of the map with all the pinpoints where everybody's at. But on the left side, we're no longer going to see all those results. We're just going to see the GMB listing for this, in this case, 4-star auto service, or, whatever your competitor is that you clicked on here. So before we get into the hack, there is some other stuff on here. While you're here, you might as well take a look at it. What stuff are they doing that you might not be? Are they showing their hours? Obviously, they have their website. You can see the popular times where people are visiting this, pictures, what's their ratings, and just basically anything relevant on their GMB, it's going to be showing here. So even though we're talking about how to hack and see what categories they're using, see what other stuff they're doing too.
You bet.
This whole thing we're talking about here is how to optimize your GMB to get found, right? So if these people are dominant, peek under the hood, see what they're doing here, right? So take a moment to check that out. Okay, so now to get to the point to find this information we're looking for, you're going to see from the top left their business name, their aggregate star rating. In this case, it's 4.9 stars with 91 reviews, which is pretty stellar. That's
a good job.
They're doing a really good job,
especially in that industry.
Right. This is just a random example we're pulling up to everybody, just kind of doing this on the fly. So then right underneath that, you're going to see, in this case, 4 buttons. It says save, nearby, send to your phone, or share. You got to click the button that says share, and that's going to give you the link to that actual GMB listing. So even though we're viewing the listing already, you may say, well, I'm already there. We're still on the search page. We did a search on Google Maps, and then we clicked on one of the listings to get more information. If we would notice the URL at the top of the page, we're still kind of within that. We're technically within like the search results. So when we get this this link to share, we're actually getting the link right to their GMB page. It's going to look very similar, but it's different, right?
Right.
The coding we're looking for doesn't exist on the search page. It only exists on the actual GMB listing page. So again, click the button for share, and you're going to see a little window that pops up for share. There's 2 options: send a link and embed map. Make sure you're clicked on the send a link option, and you're going to see a little link down there. There's a button that says copy link. I would just click that to copy the link. It copies it right to your clipboard, so you can paste that in. Close out that little X there to get that listing done, and then go up to the very top address bar. And Just select everything, delete it, Control V or right click, whatever you want to do to paste in that little code that we just copied. Hit enter. And now we're coming to a page, again, looks very similar to the page we were just on, with some slight differences here. Number one, the map off to the right-hand side. We used to see all the other results. Now we just see the one.
Okay.
We're seeing just the pin placement on the map for this one business that we're looking at on their GMB. So now here's where we're going to click to view the page source. Now, if you don't know what that is, every website, of course, it's code, right? What we're seeing is the visual representation of all the coding. So we're going to peek under the hood here for the page source code for the GMB listing. Click in this. There's going to be kind of a blue area at the top of the GMB listing off to the left. So again, it's like this case, it says 4-star auto service. They got their aggregate reviews, auto repair shop, and directions. It's kind of all in this blue shaded area. And if anybody listening right now, if this isn't making much sense, check out this episode and watch the video. This is going to be posted to YouTube so you can play it back, and it'll help you kind of see what the heck we're talking about here. Because you do have to do this in a very specific way for this to work. So before we get into that code, we want to make a note of the current category that we're seeing here. In this case, auto repair shop is the GMB category that this company is using, and that Google's showing us right now. Now, depending what you're searching for, what they have for their primary, you're going to see something different, but it's showing us one of the categories they've selected. What we want to see is what are all the categories that they're choosing, right? So you're going to right click in that blue shaded area, and pretty much every browser, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, is going to have this ability, although the wording might be slightly different. I'm using Google Chrome here in this example. So at any rate, right click on there and go down to View Page Source. Click on that, and it's going to take us to a page with just a bunch of text, a bunch of code on there. Don't freak out. You've hit the right spot. It's it's not going to look anything like what you
Nerdville.
Yeah, but this is what you wanted. So now, again, we made a note of the GMB category that was on that page. In this case, it was auto repair shop. You're going to want to do Control F on your keyboard, which effectively stands for find, right? F for find. So Control F, and that's going to pop up a little dialog box at the top of your browser for what do you want to search for. And we're going to search for that GMB category. So in this case, auto repair shop. And it's going to be on there a few times on that page. So what you got to do is scroll through it. And again, most browsers, when you do Control F and you're searching on this, they're going to have like up and down or left and right, like next type deals.
Yeah.
So in my case, on this example, it's showing me this is on here 29 times. There's 29 instances of the phrase auto repair shop. So you want to click through that until you get to the place on the page with the text where it's going to be in brackets. And when I say brackets, it's on your keyboard, usually right around like your enter key off to the right hand side of your keyboard. There's going to be like the curly brackets, some people refer to them as, and then like the straight brackets. So when you get to the right page, when you get to the right spot on the source code page, you're going to be looking for where it says auto repair shop. It's going to be in quotes. There's going to be some slashes by it, but then the whole string of text here is going to be encapsulated in these brackets that we're looking for. That's how you know when you got to the right spot. And all the information for what they're all the information for what categories they're showing up. Geez Louise. All the information for the categories that they're using in their GMB is going to be contained within these brackets. So I've highlighted it here on the screen. In this case, this company is using auto repair shop, tire, craft, workshop, tire shop, brake shop, transmission shop, oil change service, auto tune-up service, wheel alignment service as the GMB categories. So if I was in the auto repair business and if I'm doing this experiment here for myself, I've got a spreadsheet going or just a Word doc or something I'm copying and pasting this into. But those are the categories you're going to want to record down. On to the next competitor. Do the same thing. What are they using?
Right.
Get a list of all these together. Find out what are all the categories everybody's using. How does this compare to myself? Number one, a lot of people that we run into, actually, they're not using all 7 categories. And they go, I didn't know what else to use. I do auto repair and brakes and tune-ups. You know, I don't know what else to put. this helps you figure out what to do too. Like you might not even be doing it wrong. You just might not be using all 7. You don't even know what categories exist. So this is a great way to kind of cheat and hack and see what other people are doing. It doesn't mean everybody out there is going to be using all 7 either, right? So I ran through, these guys are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, well, in this case, they got 10. So,
but Google only gives you 7, right?
Well, no, 10. They've got 10 on there. So the example I had pulled up earlier, I was just counting it on a GMB listing that we have, and there's only 7. So definitely, and this is the thing with GMB too. There's like iterations that are released to people. We've talked in other episodes about GMB posts. Some people can add videos to pages. There's lots of things that they roll out. Doesn't mean everybody in every industry has it. Menus, services, things like that. So this could very well be a case where, the auto repair, they have 10. This other listing that we pulled up had 7. I don't know. Whatever it is, and it could change tomorrow, it could change by the time this episode airs, quite frankly. What you have available for your own, use them all. Right? Yeah. Use them all. So regardless of how many you get, use them all. And the whole spirit of this is to find out what your competitors are doing to help you kind of round that out for yourself.
And you won't get penalized if you use too many?
No. Google's giving them to you.
So, we've got a client that's in a small town that currently does a series of services, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to go in a different direction and offer more services and essentially add, let's say, a new business onto their deal. So while you were doing all this, I was doing research in that town and stuff. And so within the maps, a couple listings came up. Okay. And I took the top listing, went into it, did everything you just said. Followed along, everything else. You know what? They come up for that service, but it's not the exact match. It's not even close. Okay. So my point is, in doing the research, you may see 3 companies come up because Google likes to serve up information, right? Yeah. It isn't always accurate. Yeah. Sometimes it's not even close. Yeah. So this is a great tool to figure out if you even have competition, and you can go into markets where it appears there's competition, but you actually do this and you find out they don't actually do that work. And we've all done those searches. Yep. I'll give you an example. I've done a search for phone repair in a certain market and all these companies come up. Well, the closest thing they do is cell phones. Right. They actually sell either pay-as-you-go phones or Verizon or whatever the case is. None of them actually repair. For repairs, yeah. But as consumers, we just assume, these guys are all repair places. Right. And so that kind of tells you that it's a way to research, new markets, new areas you might go into, and find out, what appears to be competitive is actually not. Yeah. Great. That's great market research, right? At the end of the day. And I think you can apply what you're doing using this tactic, kind of go even further. We've talked in previous episodes, a GMB category is actually also a keyword, right? So if I'm these guys for auto repair, I want to be found if somebody's searching for auto repair shop. I want to be found if they're searching for tire shop, oil change service. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Oh yeah. So all the specifics. Yeah. So as you're doing this, if you had in your head, like, here's these 3, phrases or keywords I wanted to search my market for to find who my competition is, to do this hack you guys are talking about. As you're finding these different categories, do the search with that category too, right? So if I was just doing auto repair, but not auto repair shop, make sure before you're done with this whole exercise that you actually search auto repair shop, because Google's going to give you, just maybe even a slightly different set of results. Yep. You don't go off of, your predisposed terminology, things like that. Make darn sure you're searching all of these actual categories as you research, as the keywords that you're using, if that makes sense. Yep. Because they are extremely important keywords. If I'm making a page and I want to tell Google one thing, about what we do, I want to make sure, if I can, it matches with one of their predefined categories. Because now they're like, oh, okay, I get it. They don't have to assume and decide, is this an auto repair shop or a transmission shop? If my keyword is auto repair shop, they don't even have to guess, right? So yeah, and it's all about proof. So you put the content on there that supports that, right? And prove to Google and everybody else, you're in fact a auto repair, or if it's transmissions you're really wanting to do, and general repair, you focus on anything and everything transmission related.
Right. So just to reset this for you guys, you can go to Google Maps, google.com/maps, do a search, find people that are popping up as dominant for, the various terms, and go to their actual GMB listing. You got to click that share button to get the link. Go to the actual GMB listing, right click, view page source up in the blue area, Control F to find the term you're looking for here. And then just see what they're doing, and then just keep doing research, kind of many rounds of this to kind of get everything out and onto some kind of document for you to be able to digest. Now from here, what you do at that point is two things. One, you're going to want to go back into your GMB, and through this research, you should be able to be defining the categories that you want to be using for your business, right? Definitely, optimize your GMB with these categories. Select them, put your primary to be whichever one makes the most sense, and put the other ones in a ranked order. That's our opinion. Yep. But then the second thing is you want to be making sure you have content for these things too, right? Like this is just your GMB, and this is the category selection, which is extremely important, but that's just where we start. Okay, now everything can fall in line after this. You want to make sure you have pages on your website or content on your website, more explicitly, about each of these categories. So for this example here, if I'm an auto repair shop and I've found these guys are dominant and they're doing transmission shop and auto tune-up services, as two examples, like, hey, I do that too, but I don't have anything about that on my website. If you just add your GMB categories, that should help. You should get some visibility, but you're not going to be dominant.
No,
you're not. You're going to have a hard time bumping them out. Like you just found out that that's what their category is. Great. Now you're equal there. If you want to get ahead of them and really dominate, you got to be producing content, with these keywords of these categories in mind. And you also want to optimize your GMB with that. Not going to go through the whole thing. We have other episodes, which we'll link to in the show notes, but you can do, descriptions in your GMB. You can do services. You can upload photos. You can do a lot of things to Google Posts. You can do a lot of things to mix in this kind of content about this too, right? So the long and the short of it is find out what they're doing, make sure your categories align with where they should be, but then be producing content and optimizing around these categories too. And that'll kind of round out the whole strategy.
Yeah, and this may seem a little overwhelming. Again, for small business owners, hey, I'm just trying to make sure my truck works for plumbing and
right.
There's gas in it. It's not breaking down. At the end of the day, I get it. This is the last thing you really want to do, but it's vital. Yep. You gotta become good at it and work on it over time and plug into, people like us and podcasts like us or whatever, and just chip away at it. Yeah. It's taken me, I'm very good on the sales end of this, so to speak, or at least I think I am in my own mind. No, but I mean, that's the part I enjoy doing. Yeah. The technical piece, because I'm ADD, is really hard for me to really kind of take in. But the more I hang out with Jesse and other people in the industry, the more I begin to understand it. It makes logical sense. Right. What Google is after is they want you to prove to the world that you know a lot about plumbing. Right. And all they're asking is take time, do a report just like we did in high school on what's it take to put in a hot water heater, or what are the different types of hot water heaters. And we'll get into that content bleed at some point in time. But it all begins with this, which is relatively simple. Yep. I mean, Google kind of sets you up to do it. And now all they're asking is, okay, write me some pages that support the fact that you do, tire, and you do brakes, and you do transmission, and you do oil changes and everything else. And that's what they're asking. And it goes back to this. Look, McDonald's isn't the best food. Don't get me wrong, I eat at McDonald's. Yep. And I'm okay with it. But everybody knows it's not the best food nutritionally and in other aspects. Yep. And I'm not knocking McDonald's. There's just healthier ways to eat.
I don't think write in, call in, whatever. Right. If you want to dispute that, go ahead. But it's not the beacon of health.
We'll probably get pulled off this, whatever. But at any rate, but here's what they do well. They do a great job marketing. Yep. And they were the first to market. Yeah. And they were the first to do the kids' meals and everything else that goes with it. And that's what this game is all about with Google's. They want to know that you know what you're talking about. Yep. And I'm not saying be a bad business person. I'm just saying if you can promote and do this stuff, it's more important than any billboard you'll ever do, or radio ad, or any other form of advertising. Word of mouth is great, but that's the other element of it is, in a form, this is word of mouth with their reviews, and it's tough to figure out, but if you can begin to figure it out, it's going to pay off very well. So
yeah, and I would say something too, like you said, this is pretty technical. I mean, this is not super easy to do. It's also not overly complex,
right?
And it's something that you want to do regularly. I think maybe a couple times a year, maybe once a quarter. I don't think you need to go more than that, because it's not like they release new categories all the time. But once you figure out how to do it, that's not going to take that long, and I would put it into your calendar for something just to kind of revisit. Number one, as a byproduct, you're going to get that market research on who your competitors are.
Right.
By searching these things and check out your own rankings and things like that. And again, once you figure out how to do this, it's going to be click, 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 Control F. Oh, okay. Yep. Those all look familiar to me. Those are my categories. Nothing changed there. So
yeah. And it's dynamic. It's dynamic like your business. So if you're a landscaper and you're starting to do boulder walls, okay, you might want to pull koi ponds out, because you're not selling a lot of koi ponds, but you're selling more boulder walls. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you want to play with it and then add the content to support it.
Right.
As you go along, and if there's a part of your business that's stagnant that you don't want to be found for, pull that, put something better in there, and then put the supporting information for it.
Yep.
So
hopefully that helps you guys out. Like we always say too, we do have this podcast and this show, and we put this out to help everybody out. We also do this. We get paid to do this stuff, right?
Yep.
So something we're stealing from the other people we've learned from is there's free with a headache.
Yep.
And headache free. So I'm going to take the opportunity here with this topic we do this, right? So if you want help, reach out to us. We can do this for you. This research, this implementation, this optimization on your GMB. We do this every day for customers all across the country.
Right.
We're sharing this with all you guys that want to kind of do it yourself. But if this is an area that you say, I don't want to do this. It's cool information, but I don't want to do that. Let us know. We can help out. Anything else you want to add, Bob?
No, that's it. I mean, I guess I could just say, hey, I'm cheap. So, when a room has to get painted, I'm going to do it myself. It's not going to be professional, but it's going to be good enough for government work, if you will.
Right.
But I get it. There's people that are like, I would never do that.
Right.
And same thing with this. I mean, the only reason I'm digging into this, or I need to understand it, is basically, if we never did this. Fortunately, we had Jesse that had the talent to do this. But if I was a business person, I'd want to know why I'm being charged when I'm charged, and if it makes sense.
Yeah.
And if somebody says, hey, this is $20,000 and I'm just going to make it work and you don't need to worry about it, I'd say bye-bye.
Right.
It's basically, now if they say it's $20,000 and this is the actual formula that we're going to do, and it's 200 man hours to do it.
Right. It's got to add up.
That's how we got here with this, is 200 man hours. Okay, that all makes sense. This is the formula type of a deal.
Right.
And I would think somebody that's going to work in the world of SEO would do that and be that transparent.
Yep. Because this is not $20,000 if you contact us, by the way.
Yeah, no. But you get the idea. Is whatever it is, whoever's going to do work for you, get in on the rest of our podcast, get educated on it, so you can make an informed decision. Whoever does the work, and that's about it. And if you can't afford anybody to do the work, well, start chipping away at it now, because, like they say, 5 days from now you're going to be 5 days older and probably 5 days broker, and so you might as well chip away at it.
Right. That's pretty much it for this week. Let's get into our 5-star review of the week. Keep saying it, but you guys keep sending them in. We're going to keep reading them, and we really appreciate it. This week we got a great 5-star review from Jason Levoy. Jason, hope I say your last name right there. 5-star review, says, cool guys. Goes on to say, if you want to learn some SEO, but without all the techie language that normal people don't understand, this is a great podcast. You will learn a lot. Thanks, Jason.
My kind of guy.
Appreciate that feedback. Everybody else, we love this kind of feedback. I keep saying it, but helps us know we're on the right track. Lets us know that we're actually making a difference and helping you guys out. We'd love for you to reach out to us and give us a review. You can leave a star rating, or if you want to put some comments like Jason did to kind of communicate that, we really appreciate it. That about does it for this week, so we'll wrap it up and see you guys next week.
Bye now.